Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Points of Articulation. My name's Dave and if you're new to the channel, welcome. Today I'm looking at the Star Wars Hot Wheels Starships Select Naboo Starfighter. It's number 26 in the set and released in 2024. Now the Naboo Starfighter, or N1 Starfighter, was first seen in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, released in 1999. However, for all those Star Wars Rogue Squadron fans out there, that game was released in 1998, and if you plug in a secret code, you could play as this vessel. Now today, you guys have the internet, everything's at your fingertips, but when I was in school, the internet was still fledgling, couldn't really fly yet, so we had to rely on the kid with the power, Nintendo Power, or Game Informer, all these magazines, and our kid was Ben. And one day Ben came in and he's like, hey, you could play as the Naboo Starfighter. Nobody believed him, not even me. And he gave us the code. I remember I ran home, plugged it in, and I believe it was 2 sets of codes. It went through and you could play as this bad boy, and it was fast, it was deadly. Man, the memories. But you know what? I could just go way off track with all this stuff. This is a great looking piece already. So if you're new to my channel, what I'm going to do is look at the box, open the box, take a good look at the ship, go over all the major points, zoom in to see all those fine details, put on a stand, look at the paint and other measurements, compare it to some other pieces, and then we'll be done. So let's get started. Alright, let's take a look at the box. Up at the top, we have number 26. Then we have the Republic symbol, which should be Naboo, but what are you going to do? On this side, we have the Naboo Starfighter, what looks to be like a schematic, which is pretty cool. On the front, we have Star Wars. The ship itself, which looks fantastic. Can't wait to crack this bad boy out. On the bottom, we have Naboo Starfighter, Mattel, Hot Wheels, all that jazz. On the side, the other side. On the back, we have Star Wars, our stand. Ship looks pretty cool right there. Then we have other ships in the set. We have the Millennium Falcon, X-Wing, and we have Ahsoka's T6 Jedi Shuttle. Might be coming up soon. Then we have the prototype AT-AT. Pretty cool looking. On the bottom, we have warnings and copyright crap out the kazoo. And then on the bottom, you guessed it, more copyright stuff. Look at all that crap. But anywho, really cool box. So now let's crack this bad boy open. So you guys know how it's going to go now. I don't keep my boxes at all. So I'm going to tear this bad boy open. We'll do it together, see what's inside. And then we'll get to the ship and main review. So let's tear this bad boy open. Pull this part out. We can yeet the box. There we go. Move this to the side. More garbage. Yeet. Then we have this little box. This is where the stand is. So we can open this up. Comes with 2 parts. We have our pylon. And we have our base. Looks pretty neat. Nice and glossy. We'll take a closer look at these in just a few. Put this aside. And we could actually yeet this box as well. Okay, if we take this, open this up, we can see other ships in the line. Pretty cool. I love the art on these backdrops. Very simplistic, but it gets the job done. Cool. We can yeet this too. So for the ship itself, wow, look at that. Very cool. It's in there tight. There we go. Alright, having this ship out of the box, I can say that Hot Wheels has done a beautiful job at bringing this elegant ship to life. In my opinion, they captured that elegance, the aerodynamic look, that was such a big departure from what we've seen in other original trilogy ships, which had like these angles, very industrial looking. This ship is perfectly done in my opinion. Now some may argue Hot Wheels could have used like chrome instead of silver, really spiced it up. But once we have a closer look and we see all these details and little things they did with the paint, this is a nice vessel. Okay, and I know that's debatable. I would love a fully diecast vessel, but this does have some, I would say, softer plastic pieces to it. In the back we have soft, right here is soft, and you could see where they tried to paint the plastic to the diecast. We have some different colors working there, but besides that, it looks fantastic, and I think they did a great job. Now I know I'm jumping ahead here, but the astromech does not rotate. We were a little spoiled with the Jedi Starfighter with R4 being able to turn. This is more of a static model that we know and love from the line. However, okay, deep breath. I don't want to get ahead of myself. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over all the major parts of the vessel. Then we'll get a nice close-up look to see those fine details. Alright, so up first, right here, these two recessed areas, these are our blaster cannons. In the tips, we have our sensors, so that's kind of cool. Our communications is in the center right about here. We have our cockpit right there, R2-D2, very nice. Right here and here is our engines, and then these tail sections are the heat sinks. And then back here we have our power charging collector. So that's kind of cool. Underneath we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rivets holding it together. Peg port for the stand, copyright crap, and right here is our torpedo launcher, which is nicely recessed in and painted red as well, which is pretty cool. So all in all, that's the major parts of the N1 Starfighter. So now, let's get a closer look. Now having a closer look, we'll begin looking at the bottom of the vessel, which in my opinion has more detail, and then we'll go to the aft of the vessel and then the top. So on the bottom we have our torpedo launcher right here. It's recessed in and painted a little red, so it's pretty cool. Then we have a lot of line work coming around here, and I love it. I think it looks great. We have our rivet, peg port for the stand, copyright crap, some seam lines going on the bottom here, and the top going to the aft. So, looking pretty cool. And I do like the paint here. When you look, you can see like little scratch marks, or it looks to be like scratch marks or dry brushing. And it really makes the metal look, very worn, like it's real, and that's kind of cool. Coming down to the wing, some nice line work, looking good. And it does go underneath the main body, which is a great touch. And then into the engine section there. Going to this side, same as the other, just very detailed. And then it goes underneath. So pretty cool. Now for the engine sections, you can see there is a little molding, not a lot of detail at all. We have a little line work, our rivet, and then we have our engine or thruster. You can see it is a little bit of blue here, and then it comes out right there for our heat sink. So pretty nice. Cool, and that's the same for this one. So again, a little bit of molding, rivet, some line work, and then nice little engine there. And then our heat sink. So pretty cool. Looking at the power charge collector going down, you can see some great line work. And then that's it. Really nothing to write home about. I turn it to the side, you can see how deep those little recessed lines are. And coming down the side. Looking good. And a nice profile shot here. Really neat. I just love that design. Doesn't it look neat? And then coming to the other engine. Nice. Turn it around. Really cool. Here's the rest of the body. And now going from the aft all the way to the front, there's nothing really to write home about until we get right about here, where it connects to the main body and cockpit. And look at the astromech here. Everything is molded. The sensor, the projector, everything. Just look at that. That's awesome. Sadly, it doesn't move, but it's detailed nonetheless. And it's very small, so I'm trying my best to get a good shot of it. But very, very good. And if they could do that with this little droid head, you know, sky's the limit. They have no excuses anymore. But really nice. Okay, turning it back around. But here we have our cockpit, and you can see the paint's a little sloppy here and there. Like if you look at it like this, you can't really tell. But when you turn it, you can see right about here and here. And then if I go like this, it's a little sloppy on this side too, right about there. But again, when you're at a distance, you really don't notice it. But the top does have some line work and molding, which comes down to the seam line, which is pretty cool. And we have two recessed lines right here, where the cockpit would slide forward, or the canopy I should say. Line work going down to this area here. And then we have our front. So we have our blaster cannons here. And what's cool is, if you look here and there, you would think that it would just be like a little molded cylinder, but it's not. There's a couple little parts in there, and it's very silvery. Is that a word, silvery? So it's reflecting all my light, and it's hard to see. But they have a nice little, like, doodad in there. I guess like the barrel of the blaster cannon. But very cool. Okay, so then we have line work that goes all the way down, right to the engine, which is really neat. And the same goes for the top right here, connecting right to the engine. And that's awesome. I think they did amazing with this. And I love where the blaster cannons are. This whole silver section, just fantastic. And the profile on here, when you go like this, to me that's awesome. I don't know why I find it so appealing. It's almost nautical in a way, where it looks like a ship or a submarine. I don't know, I dig it. And the R2-D2 head, that is fantastic. It really is. I think they went above and beyond with this bad boy right here. So, pretty nice. All the details and curves are there, and it looks sharp. And that's everything I have to say about the mold. Hopefully I covered everything. So now let's put this bad boy on a stand, look at the paint, compare it to some other pieces, and then we'll be done. And now looking at the stand, it comes in two pieces. The first piece is the base plate. So we have our symbol there, Naboo Starfighter. In the front we have Star Wars and Hot Wheels molded in, which is a nice touch. And underneath we have copyright crap. The other piece we have is our pylon. So what you're going to do is pick up your base, take your pylon, click it in like so, hear that snap sound, and just like that you're good to go. Grab your vessel, put the ball peg into the slot, press down, and there you go. So that's kind of cool. Not the biggest fan of these stands, like the ball joint aspect, but I love the base plate and the pylon. It looks fantastic. Looking at the paint on the Naboo Starfighter, it features 8 different colors: silver, yellow, black, red, blue, a wash, a dark silver, and also a light blue. For the length of the Naboo Starfighter, it measures in at 5.05 inches or 128.5 millimeters. And finally, for the weight, the ship comes in at 1.95 ounces or 55.36 grams. And now for a quick size comparison with the Star Wars Hot Wheels Starships Select Naboo Starfighter seen in the center. I have it next to other Starships Select vehicles. First, on the right hand side, we have the Y-Wing Starfighter looking good. And then on the left, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi's Jedi Starfighter. These ships look great, and if you're interested in seeing reviews of any of the vessels I showcased today, check the links in the description below. And that does it today for my review of the Star Wars Hot Wheels Starships Select Naboo Starfighter. It's number 26 in the set, and it was released in 2024. Now, this ship, I went over it with a fine-tooth comb, and in my opinion, the mold is perfect. It's as good as they could get it unless they went full-on diecast. Now, where the ship has a little negativity, with me anyway, is with the paint. Some things I noticed while doing the review but didn't mention, especially is the left engine. It looks like the silver paint is scraped off the side and it's a little yellow showing through. To me, based on the Jedi Starfighter, the Y-Wing, and all these other ships I looked at, we never really had that type of problem before, so it's something that, keep an eye out when you're trying to buy these since you could see the ship. I didn't pick up on it until I was actually editing the review. I'm just so awestruck by all the little details that sometimes I miss these things to report on them as I'm going through all the details. Other items I did mention, such as the canopy being a little sloppy, and the black spots here and there on the heat sinks and so on and so forth. When I see these mistakes, but then I look at that R2-D2 head and see how clean and perfect the paint is on that dome, it makes me wonder, how could they do so well on something so small, but yet still falter here and there on the major item at large? It's sort of a head scratcher. But regardless, the ship is great. It just needs a little TLC with the paint. Now the ship also does come with a great stand. The ball joint is growing on me. However, where I think it really shines is the base plate and the pylon. That glossy black and silver for the title and the symbol. It's amazing. I really think they went above and beyond with these, and when you have them all together, such as when we have our comparisons, they all fit together and look very unified as a collection, and that's the name of the game. So that's everything I have to say about the Naboo Starfighter today. I really hope everybody enjoyed the video, and as always, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for taking time out of your hectic schedule to watch my videos. It really means a lot, and I hope to see you next time. Bye, everybody. Shout out to Ben, wherever you are.